give us just a minute as we get our live streaming set to go. All right, guys, bear with us just a minute. It looks like, I don't know, Crystal, did you start the stream?
It says live recording for me.
Yeah, the stream.
Yeah, I have it live.
It was streaming a minute ago.
Working. It doesn't look like it's working on our website, so bear with me 1 second. Okay, looks like we're good. Fantastic. So we're going to call the meeting of the Jamestown Local Development Corporation to order Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. It is now 5:04 p.m. And it looks like, Stephanie, we have a quorum of folks. Is that right?
Yes, we do.
Wonderful. So let's go ahead and jump in. We have some presentations today of folks. So I want to make sure we leave time for that. Thank you all for being here on this lovely, wonderful, warm day. Some of you are Zooming from your backyards, which is exciting. God bless you with all the pollen that's going on, but it's a good thing. First and foremost, do we have a motion for approval of the minutes from the February 17th, 2021 meeting?
So move.
So moved by Kim Eklund, second by, looks like Chris Selstrom, I heard. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. We received financial reports as well, with a balance sheet going to, is it April 30th, John?
I don't have anything else to add to the financials at this moment.
Any questions or comments from the board? All right, so do I have a motion to approve the financial reports? Did I see Vicky, was your hand up? I
think Tim's hand was up.
Okay, do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Tim Smeal, second.
Okay.
Yep.
Second by Tim Smeal. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you all. Got through some of the administrative fun. We now want to welcome Block Club, who is joining us today. For those of you who remember, Block Club has been working diligently through the pandemic. It seems like it's been forever since we first chatted with you all to discuss some branding and marketing for the city of Jamestown. So before I turn it over to those folks that are going to give us a recap of how things are going, Crystal, I'll see if there's any additional things you want to bring up with this group.
Sure. I'm really happy that you guys are here with us today. Appreciate all the work that you've done and all of the feedback that you've taken from us. I know that we've shared a lot over the past several months, and the pandemic really kind of threw us for a loop. So appreciate your patience with us, and we're really looking forward to moving this forward and getting back on track.
Thank you, Crystal. If it's okay, I'm going to share my screen. And my name is Alex, not Speraza. It's my last name. Hopefully, after year 2 of working from home or something, I'll be able to figure out how to change my Zoom name, but here we go.
Alex, would you be able to just introduce your team real quick?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, I'll be contributing to the presentation, but I'm Alex. I'm the brand manager. I've been working directly with Crystal to coordinate aspects of the project. And then we also have Patrick Finan. Do you want to quickly chime in, Patrick?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Patrick Finan. I'm one of the co-founders and the principal at the agency. I've been working with Alex, Crystal, and the rest of my colleagues on primarily the strategic components and some of the messaging components at the start of the project. So I'm going to be walking you through some of that today.
Brandon?
Hi, everybody. I'm Brandon Davis. I'm co-founder and creative director at Block Club. I've been working on everything from strategy to the visual identity for the campaign, and then ultimately our concepts.
And then Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Malloy. I am art director at Block Club. So like Brandon and I have been working primarily on the identity design, art creation, and campaign development.
All right. Thank you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Should we live?
Great. Sorry, I just need to one thing. Resume share. Okay. All right. So Patrick, I'm going to kick it over to Patrick, and Patrick is going to present the Jamestown tourism strategy.
Fantastic. All right. So I want to talk about why we're doing this project and what our objectives are. I think that's really important, especially when we're working with a large group, to always kind of come back and center around that. So when we were awarded the project and started to define the objectives, we wanted to first develop a market position and key messages for the tourism brand for Jamestown, create an identity and tagline for the brand, develop and help launch a brand campaign, design a simple website that provides access to resources, and a simple 1 to 4 page site that can serve as a microsite for the tourism initiative until a more robust site can be developed. And, we were doing this to, best prepare Jamestown for the tourism industry's post-pandemic rebound, which at the time last year we thought might be a couple years out, but I think it's here a little sooner than all of us anticipated a year ago, which is very exciting. So that's kind of why we're doing the work and what we had in mind when we began our process. I want to just talk a little bit about our process and how we approach things at Block Club. We're really big believers in aligning around not only the objectives, but things like the audience, which I'm going to go over in a moment, really making some smart choices about who we're messaging and who we're building this for. One thing I'd ask all of you as you're looking at concepts today and as you're considering the work that we're doing is to try to take your own subjective opinions out of this when you're looking at it and put yourself in the mind of the target audience that we're going after. I always have to remind myself, because I have knee-jerk reactions to things, what I like, what I don't like, colors and fonts and logos and whatnot. But it's always really great when we can come back to who are we doing this for? What's the competitive landscape look like? And how does this work help us achieve our objectives? So that's how we approached everything. Once we had the objectives defined, we set out by defining audiences. And Alex, do you mind switching to the next slide? And I want to go in a little bit more depth than this, but our primary audience is potential visitors, and secondary audiences that were important, if there's some benefit there, are Jamestown residents and community stakeholders and potential business investors. I want to take a moment just to talk a little bit more about that. So when we talk about potential visitors, this includes people who have previously visited Jamestown and people who have never visited but could. And then there's the secondary audiences that I mentioned. The reason that we prioritized potential visitors above all other audiences is multifold. We want to focus on one audience versus giving equal weight to 3 audiences with disparate interests, disparate values, wants, and needs. And we did that to ensure that the brand, the campaign, and the marketing efforts don't become diluted. There's a small budget and like a big goal. So we want to make sure that we're giving it as much punch as possible. And if we try to appeal to everybody, we really risk watering down the brand, the campaign, and the marketing efforts to basically a point of inefficiency. It was agreed in our alignment session, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that the most pressing concern of the brand is to help promote Jamestown among potential visitors as a means of bringing outside dollars into the city. It was agreed that the best way to sell Jamestown as a place to live and start a business is to bring people to the city first as visitors so they can experience it for themselves. Then they might be enticed to plant roots in the community. was also agreed that a branding campaign that promotes visiting Jamestown can also resonate with locals. Some might be jaded, but they come to see Jamestown through the eyes of a visitor. They could be swayed into spending more time downtown and believing in it and promoting it as a great place to visit, as we've seen happen in cities like Buffalo. In effect, locals could become tourists themselves and brand ambassadors. And also, investment in Jamestown by certain types of businesses like retail and hospitality will be an easier sell if there's an influx of foot traffic. Even professional service businesses tend to prefer to locate their offices in areas that are busy with people because those are perceived as vibrant, attractive, and safe by employees. So having more visitors can help in both those regards. So in short, we really recommended one focus for the brand, the campaign, and the marketing efforts. That was tourism. There might be potential for secondary messages that speak to civic pride and business concerns, but that'll be explored in subsequent phases of work. The last thing I'll say before I pass this over to my colleagues to walk through some of the creative is that we go through a process that we call our alignment process at the start of the projects, which involves talking to stakeholders and doing interviews, doing our own research and reviewing existing research, compiling that in a doc that we share with our contacts of the project to really serve as our North Star. So before we got into any of the creative development, we worked to really do this research, align around some of the information and much more in-depth information that I won't bore you with right now, and then use that as our North Star to lead the design and development of our concepts.
Thanks, Patrick. I'm going to kick it off to Brendan and Julie to present the identity.
Sure, thank you. Can everyone hear me? Is my mic on? Okay, great. Thank you, Patrick. So to begin with our tagline, Comedy's Hometown, this is purposefully descriptive and explicit. There is no mistaking Jamestown's differentiating amenity when you hear it or see it on marketing materials, but beyond alerting our audience to Jamestown's primary tourist attraction, it also offers a sense of Jamestown's small city feel. Hometown is quaint. It offers a warmth, friendliness, and approachability that's authentic to Jamestown, as well as a sense of safety, calm, and comfort that bigger cities can't offer. At the same time, it alludes to Jamestown's designation as the birthplace of Lucille Ball. The Jamestown logo itself, which you can see here, is comprised of intriguing letter forms with a clean paper cut quality. We like that this treatment invites the viewer in to explore, uncover, and read more carefully, but without compromising legibility. We also see a spotlight silhouette in some of the characters, the A, M, and W, which again, this subtly ties back into the comedy theme. On the next slide, Alex. You can see here that we arrived at two different lockups that are part of a cohesive set, horizontal and vertical stacked. Overall, the logo should feel bold, exciting, new, youthful, inviting, playful, creative, edgy, and eye-catching. We also selected a bright color palette, blue, magenta, and yellow. This and all of the decisions that we made here were deliberate to catch the attention of our target audiences and inspire visitors looking for a vibrant experience in Jamestown. We can go to the next slide now for the campaign design. Jamestown's biggest draw is the National Comedy Center, which has done a fantastic job of gaining brand recognition and building brand equity since it opened in 2018. Many of the stakeholders we talked to acknowledge that the NCC, along with Jamestown's other comedy-themed attractions, make up Jamestown's most marketable selling point. The challenge we discussed is getting the people who can be convinced to visit the NCC and other comedy amenities to extend their visit to discover more of what Jamestown has to offer. So to that end, the campaign leverages the success and wide appeal of Jamestown's comedy attractions to promote Jamestown as a whole. It does so by asking our audience to come for the funny, stay for the blank. In any given ad or campaign application, this blank is customized to a specific identity or characteristic of the city that we choose to promote. So think local businesses like restaurants or breweries, outdoor activities like the Riverwalk or skiing in nearby Ellicottville. The visual design of the campaign is intended to evoke the joy, variety, entertainment, and spontaneity that Jamestown offers. High quality photography would be used to show real Jamestown residents and business owners. So just a note that our examples that we're showing here are using just placeholder stock photography. Each ad features a variation on the headline, "Come for the funny, stay for the amenity," designed using dynamic angled shapes, and includes the same custom lettering that we saw in the Jamestown logo, establishing a cohesive brand identity. We intentionally placed the headline and shapes here slightly off kilter to create movement and a sort of slapstick mood. Finally, for a little bit of added fun, each ad has an illustrated element like a banana peel in the street, dripping ice cream scoop, or snowflakes. These bring a lighthearted human touch, as well as additional applications of those brand colors we discussed throughout each ad. Alex, I think there might be 2 more slides, of campaign creative. So this one is the "Come for the funny, stay for the stroll," with the banana peel in the lower left, and "Come for the funny, stay for the corduroy," alluding to nearby skiing opportunities.
Thanks, Julie.
No problem.
All right. Next steps, we really wanted to talk about community involvement and ways to get the community engaged in this campaign. So in the short term, we really wanted to cast Jamestown residents as models in the campaign creative. This is really fun. We've done it for a lot of our other clients to use real people as the models. We also wanted to encourage locals to nominate businesses to be featured in the campaign. And then we wanted to create digital or physical collateral for the businesses to participate in the campaign. So those would be things that they could share on social media or in store in their specific business location. In the long term, we had discussed creating movers and shakers profiles. So those would be profiles that would be shared on the campaign website blog to share what people are doing in the area and spotlight anyone who's doing something really, really fun or interesting, or someone who's created a new business in the area, doing things like that. We also thought it would be great to do ambassador or influencer itineraries. And so those might be, inviting local bloggers from other different metro areas to visit Jamestown, and then promoting their itinerary or whatever they create to the Jamestown campaign blog. We could also do this with Jamestonians in addition to outside influencers. When we visited Jamestown last summer, we were super inspired by the alleyways there, and we wanted to continue to activate them. So we noticed there was so much public art already all along Jamestown, and we thought that this offers sort of a unique perspective. So we would encourage you to continue to promote those alleyways, but also to expand upon them and to create art that was Instagrammable and fun and engaging on the topics of fun and funny. And then city flags were brought up, and new ambassador signs. So I know that there's already some Jamestown ambassador signs in the windows of businesses downtown, but recreating those to align around the new campaign, in addition to creating a new city flag. So thank you so much for inviting us to be here today. I'm going to stop sharing now.
Crystal, did you want us to open this up for feedback or questions? How would you like to move from here?
Yeah, maybe take a couple of minutes for some questions, and then we can, if there are additional questions, we can move it to like an email back and forth, or even set up, additional time to talk offline. We have a really packed agenda, so I want to make sure we get through everything. But yeah, if we want to take, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to respond to any questions that anyone might have.
Sure.
Anyone?
I was just going to say thank you for showing this. Again, we've seen it before, but I think, your tip of looking at this objectively really helped me see this maybe for the first time. I don't know why, but I really love the Jamestown. I I'm not an artist. I can't explain why that triggers me, but I like it.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's so, thank you for saying that. And I'm really glad you like it. I think this is, when we were looking at the audience you're targeting and also like what's going on in, Buffalo, Niagara, Rochester, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Niagara on the Lake, Chautauqua, Ellicottville, like all these surrounding areas and what they're doing, we really wanted something that was stand out, that was like really fun, that would be memorable, that played into, some of the assets Jamestown has, but also gives you a mark and an identity that's really unique and memorable and vibrant. And we think that this is effective in achieving that and gives you a lot of flexibility to evolve over the years. And I think that's something we also want to make sure that this isn't trendy, or that it's something that has legs, and we see a lot of possible extensions like some of the ones Alex mentioned, but also just in terms of the campaign copy and the idea. We're reinforcing kind of main attractors, but shining a spotlight on all the other ones. And as you can see, what's kind of fun is that the Comedy Center, it wasn't actually featured in the stock photos that we showed, right? I mean, we're showing all the other features, but building on the fact that the Comedy Center is a big draw that might get someone to at least consider making the day trip or overnight. So, that's why we were showing it in all these multiple expressions. But I'm really glad you like the logo lockup. I think it's really fun and quite unique and authentic.
I don't have a comment or a question, but just another comment. And I really like the flexibility, as you point out, Patrick, of the tagline. I'm sure most people on this call are aware of the up close and ... marketing and branding effort from a few years ago. And I think we had a modicum of success there, but it wasn't pegged to any particular asset. Whereas this tagline is, and it still maintains that flexibility. So I think that's a really positive take on it. I appreciate your work.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, and we were also trying to think about some of the the politics that come into marketing a community, and we've had experience doing this in other communities around Western New York and around the country. But I think what's really great about the way the campaign was set up is that where we might not, maybe every business isn't as compelling for a tourist as others, we think that through the website or through social media or through having the businesses participate in their own way, come for the funny, stay for the, and pointing them to their own business, store, restaurant, or whatever it is, that there's other ways to bring everyone in together without diluting the campaign. Because we know that not every business is going to be as attractive as the others to a tourist, but we still want them to be able to feel that they can participate. And we think that this provides a platform that really gives us the best of both, gives you guys a great platform to stand on, and gives you some cover, if you will, and is really considerate of the vibrant community that makes Jamestown so great. So that all these things have been thought through, and we found that this has it's a really great approach when in our experience working with like the villages of East Aurora or the Elmwood Village. It's been given us a way to be considerate, and now that we have social media on top of campaign and printed materials and whatnot, that gives us a whole bunch of flexibility to shine the spotlight on all these great community and locally owned businesses.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else before we say goodbye to Black Club? Peggy?
I just wanted to quickly interject. I love the fact that community members are going to be able to engage with the campaign before it even launches, and to nominate businesses that they love. There are a lot of adjectives that you could use to describe Jamestown residents, but I think they're prideful of the things that they love. And I think that it's going to be a really great way to spread some positivity behind the campaign before it even launches out there. So I love that idea.
That's awesome, Peggy. Thank you. You go by Peggy, right? Okay. So yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think that's, one of the things we'll ask of you all is to, help spread the word when we're asking for business nominations. We might throw up like a Survey Monkey or something, and ask people to fill out a form there, and for you to share that with your friends and whatnot. I also think that's a really great story about a small town, that's launching an initiative and build the initiative with community feedback and ideas, which I think is really fun, even as a story in and of itself. And the cool thing is knowing that we might be rolling this out over the course of many years, and hopefully it continues to be successful for many years. Different iterations of the campaign can feature different people and businesses and whatnot. So there's the immediate stuff that we can do, and then there's stuff we can do down the road, which is awesome. So I'm really glad you like that. I think it's really awesome, especially, I don't know, it allows us to hit the goal and the target in a really great way, while also being really conscientious of all the community members, and hopefully gives us some organic groundswell, and maybe they become ambassadors because they got to participate.
Can I just add one point? I really like the use of the word hometown. I thought, and I knew I liked it. I didn't know why, but your explanation kind of put words to that. So it's just it has a great feel to it. So that's something I appreciated about it.
Cool. Yeah, and Caitlin, who was working on copy, wasn't able to join the call, but we'll pass that along to her as well. I mean, we'll share that feedback. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll let the folks from Block Club go, and we'll continue on with our agenda. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to be with us. And if anyone has any other burning questions or comments that you'd like us to convey, just shoot them my way, and we'll get them over to the team, and we'll keep moving on this.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening. Bye.
You too.
Fantastic. Thank you. It is well timed too, because we are seeing that now is the time to start to advertise for tourism and other marketing initiatives as things start to open back up. And as of today, we have the lifting of the mask mandate for vaccinated individuals. It's a really great thing, and it's even a great thing to see more people back downtown. As I was walking the streets today during lunch, it was really, really great to see. I think we've missed it a lot. So on to the next item, which is the skate park resolution or discussion on the skate park. I don't know, Crystal or Stephanie.
Yeah, it's really more of a discussion at this point. I don't think we're quite ready for a resolution. But just to bring everyone up to speed, we ran into some challenges with the skate park. We've kind of been open about that. The size of the skate park that the design allowed and the cost to construct it, is more than what getting us a full skate park, what we have money for. We are able to construct about 2/3 of the desired park that we had anticipated, or that we had initially written our RFP for. So this is an item that I think has been sort of top of my list in terms of what it will do for the community once it's built, and how much it will add in terms of not only community development and providing that space for community members, but potential economic development. And Pete, I see you joined us. It might be great for you to jump in here in a second, but just looking at the opportunity to do actually, competitive events around the skate park. So we've been talking a little bit. We also ran into some cleanup costs that were not anticipated. We need to remove more soil and replace it with clean fill than we were expecting. I don't have the final estimate on what that may add to the project. Initially, it was looking like $100,000, which would have been really bad. I think that we've managed to get it down quite a bit. So, really, this is more informational at this point, and also to kind of, I guess, sort of plant the seed in future discussion. Jeff and I have talked a lot. I know that completing phase 2 of the skate park It makes sense to do it now, to do it while we're already in construction of phase one. I know that, you know, for Dan Stone, I think he feels the same way. I know he feels the same way. And we see the value in doing that. So in talking about, I think how we're thinking about future funds and opportunities for JLDC to participate in economic development projects, we really just want to, I guess, keep this top of mind and prepare for future conversation around this project. Pete, I don't know if you want to add to anything about, you know, what the full skate park would bring to the community.
Well, yeah, first I would say, you know, when we initially designed it, it was we initially picked the site, it was pre-pandemic. So labor costs or just the labor and construction costs were way down. So obviously everything changed in the past year. So the size shrunk pretty much due to that. And so, I mean, the park's going to be really busy. And so getting 2/3 of it, it's going to make it really crowded no matter what. So having that extra section there is going to alleviate, you know, a lot of frustration and just, you know, increase people's enjoyment. And also, like you said, I mean, just say we build 2/3 of the park, what we're to fit in the rest of the area to make it safe or even, you know, habitable is going to cost so much money. So it makes the most sense to do it now while the crew's here rather than remobilizing the crew next year or whenever we have the funds to do it to get them back. If they're here, I'd say, and if we can pull it off, then why not? Or else we're just going to be filling holes in and redigging them and getting people here, sending them home and bringing them back. It's going to cost so much extra money. And then, yeah, just that last third of the park is super important to like the performance of the park. It just ties everything in and will allow us to have, you know, larger scale events where without it's just not possible. Like, you know, it's great for local kids, which is ideally what it's for. But, you know, also we want to draw people from the outside, and what that last third is what's going to be that ties everything in to make people want to come here and use it and potentially have people, you know, plan their tour stops here, like the one that's happening in Des Moines, Iowa right now. Like there's a full Mountain Dew tour stop. They travel parks throughout the country and pick the best skate parks. And, you know, we'd be right on that list with the full park being constructed.
So,
second, Crystal, could you possibly put together, you know, just some information and send to us about, you know, a summary of what's missing, what you're, you know.
Yep.
I think that would help people.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So there's no action to take today. It's, you know, more kind of get us thinking about, you know, just thinking about it. I'll send over those details and then we can have some additional conversation in the very near term. Great. Moving on.
Fun for downtown programming proposals.
Yes. So we have one complete proposal. And again, just to go back, I know I sent you guys a couple emails earlier today. I'm going to pull it. Well, does everyone have access to the Reg Lene? Okay. And again, this is an event that was approved prior to COVID, should have happened previously, and has everything in place in terms of their COVID protocols. So they've revised their application to include what those guidelines are and what they've been doing. Really, it's just a minor revision to their application. The biggest change is probably that they've asked to increase their request by $10,000. So they were originally approved for a $40,000 grant, and they're asking to increase that to a $50,000 grant, given the financial hardship, basically is what it comes down to over the past year. We do have a little bit of flexibility in our budget to do that. So it's really just a matter of, is that something that we are interested in doing? The dollar amount originally approved, like I said, was for 40,000. Does anyone have any thoughts?
You're asking us to increase it by $10,000.
That's the request by the Reg Lene. Yep.
Did this board originally, back in when it was submitted, approve this? Is that correct? It was approved?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we're looking for a motion to increase the request for Reg Lene for $10,000 on their Downtown Revitalization Initiative Fund for Programming application.
So did they give any breakdown of the $10,000 increase? I mean, I know everybody's had hardship, so I guess I'm just looking for a little more detail.
It was on the second page of the application. They made an edit. I know it looks like it's part of the whole thing. Yep. It looks like
let's scroll down to it.
They had increase in expenses and seating restrictions is what they were indicating.
Yeah. And, you know,
just so I understand, they're saying the seating restrictions are causing them to not have enough revenue to put in their share.
Correct. Yeah. And this is not an event that they really have the ability to cancel at this point, because prior to COVID, they had already entered into a contract with the Broadway show. So they really are kind of, you know, in a place of there's not a whole lot of wiggle room there for them.
Okay, any other questions?
If the restrictions to the occupancy count are lifted by the time the event happens, would we still need the 10,000?
I think that's a great stipulation that we could put in there. This event's not until, I believe it's October, November.
November,
thank you. So
I would agree with Chris. I think that we should, if we do approve this, that we should consider that. I mean,
can you approve the 40,000 and then with a stipulation to add 10?
I think the 40 is already approved, Tom. I think this is just a conditional.
Okay.
So the motion would be to add an additional $10,000 to their application, and it sounds like pending, you know, restrictions not being lifted for occupancy. Is that right?
Yeah,
if it so happens that the occupancy is only lifted halfway, then we revisit that with 5,000. I mean, we can be open to that, but.
And I think regardless of what the final amount is, they have to submit the total cost, right? So
yes.
So we'll have the ability to protect ourselves even if.
Correct. And all payments made to vendors are actually made directly to the vendors. So, you know, there's a lot of control that we have in terms of how funds are being dispersed.
With all that being said, I'm supportive of increasing it.
Okay.
Chris, you want to make the motion?
I would love to.
Okay. So to confirm, Chris, that we have a motion to approve an additional $10,000 adjustment to the fund for programming for the Reg Lene Center for the Arts, contingent on capacity and seating restrictions being in effect at the time of the event.
Yeah, and maybe we could add to the caveat that if they're restricted prior to the event when the tickets are actually being sold, maybe, I think there's some leeway from staff to say like if they can't sell the tickets because it opens the day, restrictions are lifted, say the day the event is, that's not really fair either.
Right.
So I think we can leave it up to
use our best judgment.
Staff to use best judgment. Yeah.
We have a second?
Second.
Second by Tim Smeal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, that is passed.
Okay. We have other Fun for Downtown programming things to discuss. I would actually like to now introduce Peter Sullivan, who is here. He'd like to chat with us about the Lynx Golf Tournament. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with it. My understanding is it's a well-known event that's happened in the community for a number of years. So Peter, welcome. Thank you for bearing with us as we work through our business. And we look forward to hearing about the event.
No, it's been very interesting hearing all these different ideas. I've been a resident of the area for, I hate to say it, 75 years. And all these things make a lot of sense to me. My name is, well, it came up Peter. I was Holly there for a while, and I wanted to reintroduce myself as actually Peter. Last summer, when Lynx Charity, which was going to have their 30th and final event, and it was called off because of COVID-19, my neighbor and really good friend, Mike Roberts from Allied Alarm, was actually the executive director of that event. And through a neighborhood get together, I said, hey, Mike, if you're going to do it next year, 2021, I'd love to jump in with you, and let's not just have a Lynx Charity golf event on one day. People come in the morning, have breakfast, play golf, and leave in their cars. Let's have a real celebration because it's the 30th and final Lynx Charity. Now that WCA has been taken over by UPMC and things have changed. And I think the tournament itself was under the leadership of Alan Short for many years. And then Brad Van Ripper, who worked on it, Trucklight, was the actual executive director for like 10 years after Alan passed away. And now Mike Roberts has done it for the last couple of years, and I jumped in. And I said, instead of having just the normal Lynx Charity golf event, let's make it a celebration for Jamestown, for WCA Hospital, for Moonbrook Country Club, and everything we have to offer here in the city. So we've put it together now for July 18th and 19th this summer, where the welcoming dinner, and it's going to feature curling and bumper car rides for all the sponsors and the visiting pros who are coming in from all over the country to play. We have 26 of them. Will be held at the ice rink on Sunday afternoon, July 18th, followed by a dinner at the ice rink. I was just down there, spent an hour with Keith Martin this afternoon going through the hall. It is absolutely beautiful. And it's going to be a great venue for this welcome dinner that we're going to have on July 18th. July 19th in the morning, we're going to start out with a youth clinic up at Moonbrook Country Club for youth of the community, run by many of the LPGA pros that are going to be in here from out of town, followed by a shotgun start at 11:30 with 26 teams in the golf event, 4 amateurs in each group with 1 pro. It'll be a scramble event like it always has been Lynx Charity. Then at the end of the tournament, which will end about 4 o'clock on Monday afternoon, July 19th, everybody will come back downtown Jamestown. All the women are staying at the DoubleTree. So walking down to the ice rink is pretty easy. And we're going to have the awards banquet and the recognition of all the people involved in Lynx Charity for 30 years down at the National Comedy Center on Monday night. All the sponsors and their guests and all the pros will be invited. And we're looking probably at 100 to 150 people at the welcome dinner. And I'd say we'll be upwards of 200 at the National Comedy Center on Monday night to celebrate really the 30 years of Lynx Charity, what it's meant to the community, to the hospital, and just celebrate the end of a great run. I've been very involved in, I mean, this is like, I retired 7 years ago, and it's like I took on a new full-time job being involved in this. We currently have 98 out of the 104 amateur positions sold. And we've raised probably in the neighborhood of $250,000. We've got a $300,000 budget, and anything you could help us with the gap that we're still trying to fill would be much appreciated. Crystal, I really appreciate the time that you gave Mike Roberts a month or so ago to go through the whole event. And I appreciate the chance to tell everybody about what I've been working on. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks so much, Peter. Does anyone have any questions before we let Peter sign off? All right.
How many amateurs on the team?
Throwing a big event in the city.
I have a question.
Do you want me to exit now or stay?
We do have a question for you, Peter.
Okay, fine.
Hey, Pete. It's my question is just about the youth clinic, and so how does that work? How are there any youth can show up, or is there a pre-sign up, or how does that word get out for youth to be involved in that?
That's a great question. We're working on it right now to the point of how many youth we can have invited up there, but it's obviously going to be members of Moonbrook's children and grandchildren, and then it's going to spread out. Derek Dawson is actually chair of that part of the committee. He and I talked yesterday, and we discussed exactly that event, how many kids we can have up there. And I mean, we'd like to fan it onto the whole community if we can. I don't know if we can yet, but it's a very good point.
All right, thank you.
And you know Derek, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, and he is all over spearheading this part of the event.
Good.
Great. Thanks so much, Peter. You can sign off.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Crystal. So have we approved this yet at all?
No, this is something new that kind of came to us, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to, if nothing else, share the event with all of you. And I think the biggest thing is it shows, and this isn't the only one, there's still a ton of interest in the Fund for Downtown programming, even as it's coming to its near close. And I think it's something that, as much as it's been challenging to administer, I think, and part of that is just the amount of work that goes into dealing with the state and making sure that everything is meeting the state requirements. It's something that is, I've gotten a lot of calls, a lot of different, inquiries about this sort of thing. And as we're heading into a time where activating downtown, I think, is really critical right now, and getting people back out and attending events and allowing events to happen, and just thinking about what do we need right now more than anything. And I think that is getting as many people into downtown as we can. So I don't know that there's much more to discuss on it at this point in time, other than we will have more discussion on the Fund for Downtown Programming grantees that have already been awarded. And I'd like to propose that maybe we meet in a couple of weeks, just specifically to review those applications and the revisions that are being made, so that we can get them on to the state to get the second round of approval for them. So these are applications that have all been approved, have all been had to be revised and had to be resubmitted because of the pandemic. And then we also have, I sent you some information from the Comedy Center, again, along the same lines with the Fund for Downtown Programming, looking at ways to be able to hold events and are, again, looking for some kind of support. So I don't know what that means right now as far as what JLDC can do. I think that, this is a discussion that maybe we want to have more discussion around this. When we think about our role, the JLDC's role going forward, and what that looks like, we know that there are opportunities coming forward when we're talking about developing programming around economic stimulus, that maybe expanding the downtown programming grant funds is something that we want to consider. So yeah, I guess that's really it. We have sorry, Tim. Did you have
I had a question just about the financials. Is on the running balance, is that unallocated total of 238,000? Is that accurate as of this moment?
Unallocated. That might be oh, I see where you're looking. So that is remaining grant funds, but most of that has been allocated. And these events that the grantees have already been approved, the unallocated is approximately $22,972.
Minus the 10K that we
minus the 10K.
Yep. So,
okay.
Just putting it out there, I think this fund has actually been extremely successful. And I think there's a ton of potential for it to do even more, especially in this time of economic recovery. So we'll plan to review the additional incoming revised applications in the next couple of weeks. I'll have Beth send out a calendar invite and take it from there.
All right. Thank you. Any further questions? It doesn't sound like we can approve any other additional applications at this point.
No further action.
I wanted to confirm that. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Dave Warren loan report. Moving on.
Okay, that would be me. As you know, just before COVID, February 2020, we did approve a loan for Dave Warren for $300,000 in order for him to move forward with a buyout of his out-of-state partners. We never did get city council approval because we were waiting for the appraisal of both properties that he was looking to acquire and what he was going to use those for collateral. And of course, with COVID hit, and then the partners started to have their own internal dealings with how they wanted to handle this situation. All of that has been resolved. Dave is ready to move forward with the buyout. He did review the loan report this week, and there are no changes to it. Other than, surprisingly, 2020 was his best year on record for profit. And 2021 is only 100,000 less right now than what he ended up with 2020. So he's doing remarkably well, and wants to move forward with this. And so I guess I'm bringing this to you because we thought maybe we would have to do another approval of this. This is something we can discuss in executive session, but that's, if nothing has changed, then I'm just asking if we can continue with that approval from a year ago.
I don't see why not. I mean, the board's already made that approval. He's not asking to change or amend the loan application, right? Then I think we go straight to city council for the final approval.
Awesome. Thank you.
Is there any other comments or thoughts?
I agree.
City council will vet it as well.
Okay. There's your answer, Stephanie.
Awesome.
I thought that one was going to take a lot longer than we anticipated, but all right.
Well, I know what time it is.
Great. So we have new loan programs.
That's for me again. Yeah, we are just asking to finalize approval on the 2 loan programs. So just refresh everyone's memory, what we did is we took all of these loan programs that consisted of the artisan, the small business, the downtown development, restaurant, computer and software. And we just updated them or stuck them all together and created one program that we feel would cover it all. A maximum loan of up to $75,000, terms of 5, 7, or 10 years. Interest would be the prime plus 1, 2, or 3 based on their credit report and credit history, the strength of their ability to be, taking this loan and repaying. So that was one. The other one is a startup loan for, I think it was like between $10,000 and $25,000, and that was for it had a lot of upfront action required from the applicant in working with the Small Business Development Center and taking classes either through the SBDC or through COI's CODI, something that would really enhance their perspective of paying off this loan and being successful in their business. Crystal, we also had talked earlier about having a contract with financial advisors who would help these people through the very first year of their business. I think we had all agreed that we just don't want to give money and then let them go. We want them to be successful. And that was the idea behind this loan. Yeah. So I'm sorry, it was only $10,000 to $15,000. So it was just kind of an added boost for people. And so far, I do have one applicant who would qualify for at least the second loan, the first loan that I talked about, excuse me. And we'll talk about that in executive session. So right now I'm just asking for approval of those 2 loan programs. We are keeping, of course, the job and private investment, tier 1 and tier 2. That's for, our manufacturers, something to really enhance our economic development downtown.
All right. Questions or comments from the board? All right. I will say, Stephanie, thank you for all of the work you and all the members of the team have put into the Small Business Development Assistance Loan and the Small Business Startup Assistance Loan. This makes the loans a lot more flexible than we have seen in the past. And I think that is definitely needed given this time frame we live in. And really appreciate all of the work that you guys have done on that.
Thank you.
I wanted to echo Eddie's statement there, and I was also curious what the final number of loans that we would allow under each program were. What was the number that those ended up at?
We did cap that. The small business startup, we are going to cap at 120,000 with only 2 loans granted in 1 calendar year because it is so intensive in our time and Small Business Development Center and the applicant. So we were only going to do 2.
Great, thanks.
Sure. And like I said, again, you know, 120,000 and that loan program would be over unless it has, you know, revolved, which is what we're hoping, and refunded itself.
Great. Any further comments or questions? So do we have a motion to approve the Small Business Development Assistant Loan and the Small Business Startup Assistance Loan?
So move.
So moved
Second.
by Chris. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right. Sounds good. Looks like we have those loans passed.
Great. Thank you.
The next thing I have is an executive session. Looks like we have 3 items, 2 items relating to the sale of real property, which may impact the value. And we have 1 item for a potential lawsuit. Are there any further items for public session or any other items to come before this board? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
So moved by Tom, second by Kim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now going into executive session. Crystal, are there any members of your staff you'd like to keep on this discussion? I will also note there's no action to be taken on any of those items. You're muted, Crystal, which is pretty good. We went the whole meeting without that happening.
There we go. Are we still live streaming?
We are. Is there any members of your staff that you'd like to?
Yep. Stephanie and Ben can stick around.
Okay. Sounds good.
John, you can head out.
Give me a minute to stop the recording and we'll be good to go.